What can we do to revitalize e-commerce, make it as interesting as personal sales? That's what we're going to talk about today. And my name is Thomas, and I am the founder and CEO of Engage. And we are here together in partnership with Langia, who are specializing in SAP commerce solutions for B2B e-commerce. So a few more words about us. Engage specializes in creating interactive product experiences that transform how complex products are presented and understood in digital channels. And we work with manufacturers of complex products. Most of them are global ones, like Essity, Livhair, or Kongsberg. And as I mentioned, we're partnering with Langia, who are experts in SAP B2B e-commerce solutions, and together we can truly boost and enhance the way e-commerce happens. So the big challenge that I'd like to talk a little bit about in e-commerce is how can you make products really interesting? When I first got to know Måns Strandqvist, who is the CEO of Langia, he told me that one of the first questions that customers for B2B commerce solutions have is, how the hell can we make our products interesting and engaging? We're going from personal sales, where you can get really into it, to a little square of pixels. How can you make that transformation without becoming boring or uninteresting? And in fact, it's about demonstrating how the product creates value. That is very difficult to do in the digital space, and it's very difficult to get the customer to look beyond just the price. And I'm interested in whether you in the audience have ever had any challenges with presenting complex products and offers in the digital world. Anybody? Simon?
Yeah, it's always complex, of course, but especially because of so many different cultures.
Exactly.
So all over the world, we have very different ways of buying and selling, of course.
That is a very good point, and I agree completely. And so that is the challenge we are addressing with Engage, and especially when it comes to cultural differences. What is pretty interesting about it is that you can explain the products without words, by experiencing them instead. So that's how we address the challenge, with functional 3D simulations of the products. And we let people learn about them without using words by basically taking them into their hands in the digital space. But what sets us apart, I think, is our ability to track the behaviors as people are interacting with these products. We measure what they do. We measure in what order they do it, so we can deliver some pretty unique insights into what engages buyers the most and what drives their preference. So let's take a look at one example. We are going to take a look at Livhair, which is a big German global corporation, a manufacturer that makes basically two things. They make construction machinery and they make fridges. So let's take a look at one example. Yes, we're seeing it. So this is a premium product from Livhair called the Livhair Peak. And as I'm buying this, I can really understand what features it has, how it works. For example, I can see how should I activate the entry lock so that I can keep my wife and children out of the fridge at night. And so all I do is I follow the instructions on the screen step by step, enter the settings, and now I have to swipe left, and then I have to press and hold for 3 seconds, and then I have turned on the entry lock. Or for that matter, if I want to learn, for example, how do you change the filter that cleans the air in the fridge? This is how I do that. I take out the cassette that has the fresh air filter, and then I remove the cassette and I put the new one in, and I have changed the filter. And so Liebherr's challenge is they have a premium product, a very advanced and sophisticated product that is really top of the line when it comes to fridges. And in fact, if you're buying something from Bosch or Siemens or Miele, it's going to be a fridge made by Liebherr. But there is a huge gap between Liebherr and their customer. That gap is to some extent filled by the resellers, but they're not really equipped to explain the benefits to the end customer. So it means that Liebherr's customers are paying a premium price for a product that they're not really using to its fullest capacity. They don't know about all the features. They don't know how to use them. They don't know how to maintain the fridge. So in essence, they are overpaying. So it's a strategic issue for Liebherr. They have to explain why this price is right for this product. And here, as you can see, the customer can really learn everything they need about what makes this product valuable without using words. So that is a good example of engaging in action. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay. And look at our second example for today. I don't know if you know about Simrad. Simrad is a company in the Kongsberg Group, the Norwegian concern marine technology. And Simrad is a world leader in sonar systems for commercial fishing. And, you know, e-commerce is great for Simrad when the buyer already knows what they're buying. They have all the information they need, they just need to make a transaction. But for all the new customers, who are, by the way, sea captains on commercial fishing vessels, they know everything about the sea and about fishing, but this whole topic is very abstract for them. We're talking about sonar systems, which are making sound waves, which you cannot see, and everything is happening under the water. So how can Simrad transform from personal sales to a more scalable e-commerce sales situation without losing that deep depth of information and understanding? Let's have a look at this case. So here you can see a trawl net. It's a pretty big thing. I mean, it's maybe 300 meters long, and it operates very deep under the water. And so Simrad's product is actually these sensors that you can see here. They measure how much fish the net has caught. They measure the position of the trawl and allows the skipper to navigate and know where the trawl is at all times, so that they don't, for example, catch a Russian submarine by mistake or something like that. And here we can see a visualization of the sonar beams that this is emitting. So this tool can live inside of Kongsberg's e-commerce systems, but it can also be used by salespeople to explain the product when they are meeting the customer. They can leave this behind, then they can find it again in the e-commerce, and all the time as these customers are interacting with the system to understand this very complex product offering, we measure their behavior. We give Simrad the insights. They know then how they can tweak their communication about the product to make it even more exciting for the customer. So, and of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Right, let's have a look at our next slide. So, integrating these product experiences with platforms like SAP Commerce or other B2B e-commerce platforms or B2C e-commerce platforms can really allow you to close the gap between the manufacturer, the product, and the buyer. And then, of course, the gap between the purchase and the use of the product. And so doing this while providing unique insights into customer behavior. So imagine that if you can, at the moment of purchase, measure what aspects of the product that captures the user's attention. Imagine what you can do with that and how that can aid you in smarter and more data-driven decision making in the e-commerce context. And if we look into this behavior analytics system a little bit deeper for a moment, so as I said, as buyers interact with the product experiences, we measure how they interact with the product and what product features interest them the most. Where do they spend their time? What's the behavior of the, let's say, 23% of the users who spend 10 minutes on average or more interacting with the product? What does their behavior look like versus the people who spend half a minute? And drawing conclusions from that. And so with Engage, you're not just presenting products, you're also getting insights from every customer interaction. And that helps you to continuously refine and optimize the offering. In fact, some of our customers even use Engage to develop products by measuring if the product interface is well made, if the product design is appealing, and doing that at a large scale. And think about it, if you knew more about your buyer's preference, how could that help you shape your sales and the way you sell? That's a very interesting and exciting topic. So, if I'm to summarize this, what I think is most important about interactive product experiences, it's all of the things that I've said, but I think the most important thing is that it makes it enjoyable and fun to learn something complex, something intricate. It makes it into an exciting exploration instead of passive viewing. And all the while you are learning everything about this product, all of its aspects and key features, and having fun doing so, we are learning about your preferences. Another important thing is that anybody can access it. This is not limited to some specific technology. This can live inside any digital channel, and not just any channel, but it has a use for any kind of recipient as well. Yes, of course, the buyer, the customer, consumer, but also to help inform your sales teams, your distributors, your partners, and of course the end users of the product, help onboard them into using it correctly. And so it bridges the gap between sales in person and the digital sales that we're all kind of moving towards and adapting. And as your customers test drive your product this way, right inside your B2B e-commerce, you learn what interests them the most and what is the key features that you should communicate in other contexts. In short, Engage helps sell more to everyone, everywhere.